Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm over here playing Apex. Leave your gamer tag down below and I'll add you.
Weird flex, but okay. What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My dog is trying to lick my books and I'm gonna murder her. We are here for another wrap up. It is the May and June wrap up. I have been doing absolutely horribly. I'm having a really hard time reading and sticking to a book, and I think the reason is I have a lot of arcs that I was approved on NetGalley for. I kind of went trigger happy and requested a whole ton of books and only got denied for like 2. For some reason I find it difficult to stay focused when I'm reading an ebook, so I'm just having a terrible time with reading. So May and June were not the greatest months for me. I think in the 2 months I only read about 5 books, which I used to be able to do that in a single month. July and August I think are just going to be horrible as well. But regardless, whatever, we're here to talk about the books I read in the months of May and June. The first book that I read in the month of May was Pretend She's Here by Luann Rice. I gave this a 3.5 stars. It follows Emily Lonergan, I think is how you pronounce the main character's last name. She lost her best friend Lizzie Porter about a year ago. She's still just kind of getting out of the stages of grieving. However, when Lizzie's family comes back to town, she quickly realizes that everyone has their own special way of grieving. So this is a thriller, I would call it. I think the synopsis sounded really interesting to me. I was really excited for it. It was really captivating towards the beginning, and then the middle was kind of murky. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, and then the ending I will say was kind of strong. I felt satisfied with the ending. Like I said, it has a tantalizing plot. There's a lot of action and it picks up right from the get-go. There is very strong family themes in this book, as well as some substance abuse talk. Bless you, Holly. What I particularly liked about this book was that we see what happens after the fact. I can't obviously say too much without spoilering it, because it's pretty important what happens, so I don't want to spoil that. But I really like the fact that after everything happened, it didn't just end at the end, like, okay, this happens, it's done. We get to see the aftermath of Emily's ordeal. We get to see her deal with PTSD due to everything that happened to her. I really do feel like we get that closure in this book. A big part that I didn't like was the romance. There's a little bit of romance in here and it just felt awkwardly placed. Like, I realized she's a teenager and she's kind of trying to put her best foot forward, I guess, but it just bugged me, especially at the end, because through this entire thing, Emily's like, I'm not gonna sell my story, I'm not gonna sell about, everything that happened, and then at the end it's like, well, I really like this boy and this boy needs help, so I'm gonna sell my story. It's kind of like, okay, but you were really focused on not, and all of a sudden, just because it's a boy that you like, I realized you need help, but still, that's weird. Didn't like it. But regardless, I would still recommend this. I think it's a really good book, and I think a lot of you would enjoy it. Just wasn't my absolute favorite, but I did enjoy it. The first e-arc I read was Soul of the Sword by Julie Kagawa. I gave it a 3 stars, and I was kind of disappointed. Soul of the Sword is the sequel to Shadow of the Fox. We follow Yumeko and her entourage as they are still trying to get their piece of the scroll to the Steel Feather Temple. Their trip is not made easy, since in the last book, Hakimono, the big bad bloodthirsty demon, has taken control of Tatsumi's body and is also determined to get the scroll for his own evil purposes. Some of the things that I liked. There was a lot more gore and guts thanks to a more present Hakimono, so I really enjoyed the goriness of this second book, as weird as that may be. Again, just this amazing interlace with the Japanese folklore mixed in with the story and the plot. I mean, the scenery, the imagery is just so descriptive, so vivid. I love all the mythology, Japanese mythology in there. The beginning was a really slow struggle, and I feel like this really started my reading slump. It was just so hard to get through probably the first 2/3 of the book. It probably wasn't until the very end that I actually started to get really interesting and actually could not put the book down. Some characters I really didn't connect with in the first book. I felt zero attachment to any of them, but they're slowly growing on me on the second book. There is a male-male romance that is so swoony. Like, the looks between them, the little moments they were having, it was leaving me squealing, and that is definitely a big plus. Yumeko still is just, she's not my fave. And she's the main character, which makes it hard to continue with this book because I just think she's really reckless, she's really impulsive, really naive. And I will admit she showed some growth towards the end, but it wasn't like a big drastic change for sure. There are just a lot of moments where I'm like, would you think with your brain, please, before jumping out into something? Because half of the time her choices ends up putting themselves in more danger. The ending was frustrating. It was so frustrating. There was a cliffhanger, but it was just, I really did not like the ending. Like, Hakimono does like a complete 360, and that definitely, that relationship, that the whole thing with Hakimono just pissed me off. This book was published June 18th. If you've read this book, let me know if you agree with me or not. Rant with me or prove me wrong. Tell me why you think this is a great book. The next arc that I read was Ever Alice, and I gave it a 3.5 stars. It is an Alice Through the Looking Glass retelling filled with twists, turns, and plenty of madness. What if Alice had gone back? Gone back to overthrow the Queen of Hearts. I am a sucker for Alice in Wonderland retellings, origin stories, anything Alice in Wonderland retelling I am a sucker for. So when I got approved for this, I was over the moon, and I definitely went through it a lot quicker than Soul of the Sword. This book is told through alternating points of view. It is told from Alice and also Rosamund, who is actually the Queen of Hearts. So I feel, at least in, I think, definitely in the Disney version, I'm not 100% sure if in the classic Lewis Carroll tale they put a name to the Queen of Hearts, so that was kind of a fun tidbit to have an actual name to put to her. It was a lot darker than I expected, to be honest. Basically what happens is, of course, Alice has gone to Wonderland and she's jabbering to everyone about Wonderland and all the people she met, and of course, that lands her in an insane asylum because why wouldn't it? She is about to get a lobotomy, or what I inferred to be was a lobotomy, but is saved by the White Rabbit at last second, who takes her into Wonderland asking for her help to kill the Red Queen. It was very whimsical, as Alice in Wonderland retellings should be. There's a lot of quirky wording, which I really enjoyed, although there were just a few times where I felt like the author was trying too hard to be quirky and whimsical. It didn't flow, or just didn't feel right, which is weird because if you've read the original text, like, none of it makes sense. But it just felt like she was trying too hard. There are a lot of classic characters, which I just love seeing them, seeing different authors' perspectives and how they write these characters. But some of these classic characters have actual names, which was nice. Like, it wasn't just the White Rabbit, they all had proper names and titles. We also had creative original characters, which I loved. We had Mary Lou and Mary Ann, who were, I think, the Queen's handmaidens, and they were actually the daughters of the Tweedles. And that just, I love that when they can build their own creative original characters while still tying it to the original, and that in particular was great. The ending was kind of eerie, and I don't think I fully 100% comprehended it, to be honest. I kind of loved it at the same time. So I do plan on reading this book when it comes out August 1st. Buy it, or it's off with your head. Those were the only 3 books I read in the month of May. I'm trash, I know. The first book I read in the month of June was The Wandering Star by Romina Russell, and it is the sequel to Zodiac, which I read, I think, in April. and I absolutely loved. So in this second book, Ro is dealing with the aftermath of her failed attempt against Ocus. She's trying to find her place again in the Zodiac, but it isn't easy. She has to learn to believe in herself again and trust herself again, and learn fast because Ocus is back and ready to cause more destruction. But if that wasn't enough, there also is this new army of people with a whole lot of grudges and not enough humanity. The world building in this book again was incredible. We got to see more houses, got to visit more of the Zodiac houses, and it was just fabulous. If anything, the imagery is enough. Even if the plot wasn't fantastic, which it really is, but even if it wasn't, this imagery would keep me coming back for more. There are so many heartbreaking moments in this book. It was an emotional roller coaster. There are so many plot twists, so many intense reveals that I did not see coming, and if you forgot from my last wrap up, I did say I spoiled myself for books 1 through 3. I completely and entirely spoiled myself for them. So the fact that I was still able to be surprised and shocked in this book is, I think, a great testament to how great the writer did her job. I gave this a 4.75 in case I didn't say that. But I'm excited for the third book, and I just know it's gonna be even more intense. It's gonna be even more emotional, and I'm ready for it. The last book that I read in the month of June was an e-arc, and it is House of Salt and Sorrows, and I gave this book a 5 stars. This book comes out August 6th, and you need to read this book. You need to get your hands on it, okay? It is a dark and twisted retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, which, if you're anything like me, you've at least seen the Barbie version, but this is not a Barbie version, okay? This is dark, is twisted. It's great. It's just amazing. Death greets us right from page 1. Like, we open up this book with a funeral, okay? Like, we're burying someone right away on page 1. It is just creepy, creepy, creepy. The pacing is really steady, and I loved it. Like, we just keep growing towards this big climax at the end, and I loved that. The plot twists and reveals are intense. Like, all of the little twists lead up to this big climax moment at the end, and I just thought that was performed exquisitely. It's just incredible all around. Be sure to dance your way into a bookstore on August 6th and purchase your book. Big thanks to NetGalley and Random House Children's Book for the opportunity of reading this book ahead of time. Definitely let me know if you're interested or if you will be purchasing this book. That's it to this video. I'm sorry it's a little messy, a little all over the place. I haven't filmed in a while. My camera battery is dying, so that kind of makes me more rambly and more nervous to like hurry everything up. So I'm sorry if some things didn't make sense. My name is Elle. I am a failure at reading, and I'll see you in next time's video.